G'day, and we are the Inforunners. I'm not Hayes. I'm Al Garrett. I'm joined this week by
I'm Hayes.
Just as any confusion, he's Hayes, by the way. Yeah, I'm Execute, and obviously Algrid.
That's right. And today what we wanted to talk about was things we actually thought CIG are doing right. Now, often we hear lots of things.
Top 5 things CIG are doing right.
Yeah. We often hear people talk about the things that CIG are doing so wrong. They're doing this wrong. They can't do this. They can't do that. They don't know what they're doing. But we figured, let's go away. Let's pick out the top 5 things that we actually think they're doing right, and then let's discuss them. So today, we bring you top 5 things that CIG are doing right.
Because the top 5 things they're doing wrong is too easy.
That's right.
Yeah, probably. All right.
Indeed.
So, who's going to kick us off?
I believe.
Alphabetical order, please.
Yep. So we're going to go from 5 down to 1.
Surname alphabetical order? No. Real life name? No. Okay.
Well, that'd still be me.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right, Al. Well, you kick us off then.
Well, it's a bit hard for me to kick us off because my actual number 5 point is actually same as your number 4. So I'm going to.
We'll leave it till I get to number 4 then.
I'll leave it to that.
All right. Well, that means I'll be the next in the list. So my number 5 is the fundraising of the game. The way they've gone about fundraising this game by selling off ships has been one of the most successful things of all time. Oh, you know, we're almost at $200 million. I just think it's been done so well. You know, you look at it from a marketing standpoint, it's absolutely brilliant. Whether you agree with it or not, they've raised, as I said, almost $200 million, and I just think that's exceptional. And that's why it's in my top 5. Hayes, what's your top 5? Oh, your number 5.
I actually wrote these down, so I have to
Ship
quickly
pipeline.
look.
Ship pipeline.
I don't call it that though. The thing is that anyone have a look at those pictures where it shows all the ships that they have currently concepted, like the size graph or something like that. I almost a shame I didn't bring this up now, but if you actually look at all the ships that are listed to be completed this year and all the ships that have yet to be concepted, if just take those out, CIG are on track this year to have most of those ships that have currently been concepted from the small to medium range to be completed by the end of this year, with only a couple of exceptions. And you know, it's sort of like everything of the original concept ships will finally be concepted. Things like the Freelancer, things like the Constellation, the 300 rework, the Mustang rework, even a lot of the newer ships within the last year. There's only going to be a couple of very small or more recent ships that were concepted this year that will not actually have been completed. And this is a huge milestone for CIG because they've actually, by the end of this year, got to the point where they have completed more ships faster than they can concept them. Along with the fact that they've only been concepting small ships, which are more manageable, there's only going to be the largest of capitals left to do, and which I believe they're probably already going to start getting in. If you look at the 890 is scheduled for Q1 on 2019, and I'm pretty sure there's other ones in the works that are just not telling us much about.
I think you'll see the Banner Defender towards the end of next year because the Banner Defender's coming as well as the 890 jump, but I think the Banner Merchantman will probably come just after that. We also know the Carrack's being grey boxed out. The Ryan's.
I'm going to talk about that because that's my top 5. The 5th, yeah.
And we know the Idris is only missing its torpedo room, I believe.
All right, number 4, or not 8, 4. My number 4 is actually what was Algrid's number 5, so Algrid can talk about this one with me. But mine was the fact that they're attempting open development. The fact that they're trying to share as much as they possibly can with the community and give them insights to behind the game, behind the curtain, so to speak, and that we get to talk to developers, we get to see all these shows that they put on to try and keep us informed as much as possible. Algrid, do you want to kind of add to that? Yeah,
I actually thought one of the things that I thought they were doing right was not just getting 1 or 2 of the developers to talk about the work they were doing, but getting a vast variety of them. So we see guys who may not even be necessarily comfortable on the camera, getting in front of a camera to say, hey, this is what we're working on. This is what we've done. And just that breadth of different people talking gives us a better insight of what they're doing behind the scenes and how they're developing the game. And I think that's great.
Yeah, it definitely is. I actually, usually in most games, you only see a couple of the developers on camera. You don't see this big, different.
Yeah, you see the face, and that's it. The guy who's the face does all the talking, and
yeah, we'd only ever probably see Chris and Sandy, and that's it. If it was any other game, we wouldn't see anyone else. So yeah, no, it's good to see that they're sharing the love, and they're very. You can tell the developers are very passionate with the community. It's definitely one thing about this game that I probably should have put that on my top 5 community, but it's not on there. Anyway, what's your top 4, Hayes?
Okay, so it's basically the foundation systems are finally going to be in place by the end of this year. We hope. Even if it doesn't get into 3.3, it'll definitely get into 3.4. But the idea of an object container system, bind calling, and server meshing, and there's a whole bunch of other network-based stuff that's going to be coming through. This is the sort of the bread and butter for getting like 100 people into a server and having 60 frames per second, and also having people from different regions moving and interacting within the same PU. They've talked about the idea that they won't longer have localized Australian and American servers. They'll have main servers and then sort of branch servers that will communicate between regions. That's what server meshing is, along with the idea of fitting like multiple shards, more people into, the same server instance or array, I should say. This is what is going to make and break the PU. This is the stuff that the legend, the forthcoming of, Horses of Apocalypse or whatever you want to call it. This is going to be the moment where Star Citizen starts to take a turn, because like at the moment they fit 50 people in a server. It sort of chugs once you get the full amount in, but this will.
Well, at the moment they have been trialing 100 people in the servers on.
It was fake news.
I heard bad things.
Fake news. It was fake news. CIG replied that they're not doing that at all. Anyway, keep going, guys.
It also paves the way for the Idris. They've talked about the only reason they haven't brought the Idris in is because the servers literally can't handle it. Due to things like bind calling, object container system, the fact that they'll finally be able to get the Idris into the PU, they have promised to bring the PU in twice, but the community always forgets that. In one of the newsletters, they said, we want to get the Idris and the Javelin in the back of hands in the PU as soon as possible. It's a matter of when the engine can handle it. And another time they said it during an ATV. And literally, I've seen all these other community content shows, and they're like, oh yeah, they probably won't show the Idris because, probably spoiler for Squadron 42. Yeah, that's very... But we've had CIG officially state twice that they are only waiting on the tech to support these ships. Yep. And
the last official news on the Idris I got, which was talking to devs on Spectrum the other day, was actually the Idris is just missing one room, which is the missile room.
Yeah. And they're not waiting for Squadron 42 because they've confirmed that twice.
This is real pivotal tech, though, too, Hayes, because it's, those Idris not just Idris, but big ship battles between big ships, and that's just 2 ships, but then multiplying that out to, what you see at the start of Episode 3 in Star Wars, that massive fleet battles, they'll all be possible once that tech comes online. So it's really important tech, and it is the foundation, like you called it at the start.
And don't forget the Javelin. The Javelin's up there too, because you got to remember the Idris and the Javelin are mostly complete ships.
They are indeed.
And it just comes down to a matter of having the systems in place and having it ready.
Right. Anything else you want to... Sorry, is there anything else you want to add?
No,
sorry.
That's it.
I cut you off! 30-second time then! Talk too long. All right. Anyway, Algrid, what's your number 4? I think yours is the same as one of mine, isn't it?
My number 4 is actually the same as your number 1.
Okay, so
I'm gonna just
skip on that one. We'll go on to number 3. Well, how about we just jump straight to your number 3 then, Algrid, since we just kind of skipped you then.
Yeah, so well, actually... That's actually a good one, because my number 3, I think, is actually related in a sense to Hayes's number 4 in a sense, because while I'm looking at the roadmap, I actually think the roadmap is really good because we see all those bits and pieces, and on the roadmap you can actually see where they've said they've got with that container, the object container and the bind culling and all the rest of it, and it does look like
they've been sticking to those dates too, which is quite good.
Yeah, and as Hayes said, if just looking at the roadmap, if they don't get it into 3.3, it's definitely going to get into 3.4 because there's just the things they've got to get done are so close. I like the fact
when Chris Roberts was on Reverse the Verse, he literally said it's essential to that patch, the blind culling and the network stuff. Yeah.
Yep. Because they want to put so much in, and they want to put Hurston in, and those other things, and so I think the roadmap, the fact that they're actually been putting it in, they're updating it weekly on Friday, or Saturday for Aussies, but the fact that it's been updated regularly, the fact that they're keeping to it, the fact that they're actually moving things out and letting us see what they're moving out when they can't make it is really showing us, okay, we're actually seeing progress, and that's huge.
No, it is. Let's us see their foresight, what they're planning. Makes a lot of sense. Right, Hayes, what's your number 3, sir? The TDLR version this time, please.
Oh, this one's short. I never had the chance to talk about this one.
I'm just teasing.
But basically, CIG pretty much said we're removing all $0 CCUs, and you're got to use them quickly before we remove them from the store. And there was a huge kerfuffle in the community and people not happy. I think there's still some people who are preaching not happy. Why can't we keep them? But it's been 9 months, and they haven't removed them yet. And whilst they have promised, they've generally considered that perhaps the backlash or the inconvenience of people who don't pay that much attention to Star Citizen, and suddenly their plans have been completely thrown out of whack. They've said, okay, no new ones, but we'll keep the old ones. And, I wouldn't be surprised in 3 months or like before CitizenCon they finally remove them from the hangars and the buyback lists. But the fact that they took into consideration and decided to do a soft PR move and just, give people a bit of flexibility and a lot of time, very generous length of time to get their cards in order before they do it. I think that's something CIG finally did right with regards to PR, marketing in the store.
Question, yeah, Mr. Hayes, I got a question. Don't the $0 CCUs pop up during the sales?
Not anymore.
Not anymore. Okay.
No, not for a while now. Not anytime since I don't know, September or earlier last year.
Okay.
But I think part of that reason for keeping those and keeping the old CCUs and even keeping the CCUs in place anyway is the fact that it's catering to those big package owners who, especially the completionist package owners who had two of each of the special ships in, and the idea of those was not so you had 2 of every ship or 2 of the special ships, but so you could actually CCU those to the later ships that came. And I think the problem with those big packages is those ships are locked in, and so you've got to CCU to change them, and it's already a clunky business for people to change those ships in those packages. And so to remove that would actually make it even harder and go against what they said when they made those packages, that we're making this package and we'll make it easy for you to do this. And so I think part of a reason of keeping that is also to
dollars. You reckon dollars? I think it's dollars.
I think it comes down to the idea that it provides very strong flexibility to be able to switch between ships, or like this concept of ship, when it comes out, I don't want it anymore, I want to switch to something else.
So to be
when you remove $0 CCUs, it makes it much more inflexible, because it means you have to have a store dollar value assigned CCU in your hangar at all times, as opposed to having all the CCUs that you think you might need. It's much more restrictive.
So just to be clear, your takeaway is that you're happy they've left the $0 CCUs in the store for as long as they have.
I'm happy you've given a large berth for people to adjust beforehand. If they removed it right now, I would still be happy that they gave people ample time to be able to do things.
And execute. I don't think it's a matter of like money being the speaker here, because in terms of helping the people who've got those big packages, those people have already spent the money. So it's actually being a service to the owners of those big packages rather than being give us more, give us more.
And to be honest, my official viewpoint is they do need to be removed. They are abusable. I know I've certainly taken advantage of them on many occasions. It is a loophole. They do need to shut it, but they were very generous with a grace period. And I very much salute CIG for that. You've done a good job in making that transition that much more palatable and I think acceptable for the community by waiting.
Okay, my number 3 is the making of Squadron 42 first. I think it's very clear to most people now that they're putting Squadron 42 as a priority over the persistent universe. But I think it's a very wise business decision, because in making that, you're going to secure fund, inherently secure the life of the game. Just that's it. That simple. I think it's a very wise decision.
Yeah, I could see a lot of people just playing Squadron 42 just because of the cinematics and just because of the stars that are involved.
Yeah, I personally want the.
Games.
Sorry.
No, many people who don't play multiplayer games are MMOs, and they'll play Squadron.
I mostly want the persistent universe, and I think a lot of people that are brought into Star Citizen want the persistent universe, but I understand from a business decision it makes the most sense to secure that funding, because they're going to make a bucket load of cash out of it. Like with all the celebrities and that they've got in it, and the game quality itself, it'll sell a truckload, and once they ship that out the door, it's just going to secure everything that they wanted to do with this game. 200 million will be nothing. They'll make they'll make it all back again type thing. So that was number 3. Moving on to number 2. Hayes, do you want to do your number 2?
Okay, this is one we sort of touched on, and it's got spoilt a little bit. The Banner Defender is coming out in the first quarter of 2019. This is significant on a number of different fronts. One reason is it's the only fighter that has a bed outside of the Avenger. And this is
the 325A.
Well, I suppose
he's got you there. He's got you. Just admit defeat and move on.
If you're talking about the 325A in its current iteration, I disagree with you. But otherwise, after the rework, we will see.
Yeah.
The idea is that the Avenger is a decent fighter. It's got a bed. But then the Defender is the Avenger version of the superiority fighter with a bed. Okay, like at the end of the day, 325A is not a superiority fighter. The Defender is designed to rub shoulders with the Saber and the Super Hornet, and it has 2 beds. It is also the first actual nimble fighter that has proper iterations of multi-crew, because at the moment we have ships like, let's say, the Cutlass and the Super Hornet that have a second pilot, but they seem like only take control of a turret, or they don't want to give them control of the front-wielding guns like many of those ships would normally have. You'd have a weapons officer and you have a pilot. This is the first real ship that has a dedicated pilot and a dedicated gunner, and this will be a new dynamic, which I wish they would. They seem so resistant in trying to install this in other ships that are perfect for it, and this is the first ship that's going to have it by default. This is what the ship was designed. This is what it was made for, and this really excites me for that sort of a reason. This is one of those ships that I'm going to go, this is the start of something really big, something I'm really looking forward to seeing made.
I hope you're not sadly disappointed.
and well, even if it doesn't meet up to those expectations they've had, that they've kind of put out there, the fact that it's a 2-person ship that's got 2 beds, it is the smallest multiplayer ship that can actually do long distance stuff, because what's the next
superiority fighter as well? Like
the next smallest, I think, is the Freelancer. I think that's got 3 or 4 beds.
Wouldn't you say the Cutlass?
How many beds does the Cutlass
up, not down?
Well, the Cutlass is. Well, you said the next closest is in the next closest in size, didn't you not? Cutlass has.
I was meaning
3
in terms
beds,
of
2 beds.
Ships that could do, the smallest number of beds that it could have in terms of multiplayer ship.
Well, Cutlass has got 2 beds. Freelancer's got 4.
All right, so you're comparing it to the Cutlass in terms of beds, and the Cutlass isn't a superiority fighter, so.
I'd say it's more so than a Freelancer, but anyway. All right.
I think once you start comparing a superiority fighter to a Freelancer, you're doing something wrong. At the end of the day. But there is one other big caveat from the Defender coming out in January. It means they've got the Star Guide down, and they always work on ships simultaneously. When they work on the 600i, they were also working on the 300 rework and the 100i and the jump. That's why it's coming out in Q1. And that means that they have already, when they start working on the Defender, they will simultaneously start working on the Banu Measurement. So that by the time we come to Q1 in 2019, it means the Banu Measurement will already be underway. And
the other big thing that it will do is it'll actually work out the size metrics of Banu to human and the size differential in terms of what those ships have. Because that was one of the things that they kind of went, Banu are a lot bigger than humans. That means this ship is going to be bigger.
Metrics and style guides and art and everything. It's going to be locked in. And they'll be actively working on that Banu Measurement because, it's exciting.
All right.
Yeah, I think I'd have to agree with that. That actually is something exciting.
All right. My number 2 is quarterly releases. So they've done it twice so far this year, and they hope to continue the trend. But I'm loving the fact that we're getting something new every 3 months now. It's not like previous years where you'd wait all year just for CitizenCon and GamesCon. It's more fluid. In a weird way, though, I don't like the roadmap because they're telling me it's coming. So I'm a bit different to what Algrid likes about the roadmap. I don't like going, I've got to wait 12 months for that.
But that's a bummer. But knowing that it's coming and knowing when and seeing how far they are along and knowing...
I'm just too impatient. I'm too impatient. I want it now, Daddy. Give me it now. All right.
Delayed gratification is a wonderful thing.
You're terrible. All right. What's your number 2, sir?
My number 2 is actually the first iteration of gameplay, and that's like we've seen it with mining. Before you just had fighting, and that's but the mining mechanic is actually quite engaging. It's a full-on mini game in itself, and it's not necessarily it's quite intuitive, and yet it takes a bit of fine tuning to get used to, and it is quite fun.
Yeah. It's definitely more involved than any other MMO I've ever seen in mining. Like, thinking about World of Warcraft, just plays an animation.
Chop, 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 off I go. Same with Lotro, chop, 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 off you go. Same with, any MMO you can think of. It's usually just been go up to the rock, hit it with a hammer, get the stuff, go. This is, you've got to go up, scan it.
It's a little bit of a cross between searching for the right rock and the skill to actually crack the rock the right way, or
so you can't just go, oh, that's gold. Oh, that's silver. Oh, you've got to find the rock, scan the rock, find the stuff. And that gameplay, it is actually an engaging gameplay. And the fact that they've got that, and if that's just the first iteration of that gameplay, and I've heard them say the salvage stuff will be similar in that you'll scan the type of ruins and find the good bits there that you can take. If that's similar, then what we're seeing in the terms of gameplay is actually going to be really, really engaging. And I can see repair being, again, similar. You scan it, find out what's broken, take out the bits to fix. And so I find that really exciting and good in terms of...
So many people were like, what is this first iteration going to be like? Is it even going to be engaging? Is it going to be interesting? Is it going to be fun to do?
And we're talking mining 0, mining level 0. We're not talking mining level 1 or mining level 2. We're talking...
Well, this is iteration
the base iteration, and it's good.
It's really good. Bodes well for the rest of the entire game, quite honestly.
Yeah. And so that's why it rates so high for me.
All right, down to numero uno, Neo. I'll go first on this one because of reasons. My number 1 was also Algrid's number 4, and that is quality of the art. So basically, long story short, this game looks bloody amazing. That's Australian slang for you Americans and rest of the world. The ships in this game, the art, no matter where you go, everything looks fantastic. No matter who I show this game to, they're like, how does it look so bloody good? And it's because they're using new techniques that haven't been done before with multiple layering of textures, and it just allows everything to look higher fidelity than it should.
That ties in your number 1, isn't it? Internet JPEGs and chip one. That's why it sells so.
What? This is my number 1, quality of the art. What are you talking about? Anyway,
I'm talking about your number 5, what you started off with.
Fundraising. I don't know what you're talking about. You've confused me. Lost me with your joke.
Internet JPEGs and ship porn. That's what sells.
No, mine says fundraising the game. Oh, now I see.
Yeah,
Click,
now
right.
you get it.
Yeah, I'm just a bit slow on the uptake. Yeah, but look, I really like the way the ships look.
Polish my head.
Yeah, so... All right, well, that's my number one. So, Algrid, what is your number one? Now...
Well, my number 4 was the quality of art, and I actually...
Okay, sorry.
I don't think I've got too much more to add to what you said. I like you when you look at ships like the Avenger and the Scythe and the Blade, and when they come out, they look absolutely gorgeous. And I can't go beyond how awesome the Cutlass looks now. I used to hate the Cutlass. I love the look of the Cutlass now. The Avenger...
Every new series of ships...
it grew on me, and now it's just...
Yeah. Every year...
Oh, go on.
I was going to say, every year the ships look better and better than the year previously, and when anything's redone, it always looks better. And it just when I don't think they can make it look better, they always surprise me, and then they bring out a new manufacturer. And the way you look at, say, something like Aegis, and you can see how all the ships are made by the same people. I just really love the aesthetic of this game as well. I should have added that in there as well.
I loved early on, when I first started, one of the things I absolutely loved was the way the Gladius... You looked at the Gladius and you said, oh, that's a baby Retaliator.
Yeah.
Because you could see the lines and you could see the shape and you could see all those things in it. And that was one of the things that I absolutely adored about the game, the graphics and the style of the ships. You look at a manufacturer and say, oh, yeah, that's all right. Oh, yeah, that's a Aegis, that's a Anvil, that's a RSI. And it was just, it's quite unique. And so I love that artwork. And so that was why it was number 4.
All right, well, your number 1.
My number 1 is actually the procedural planet tech, and because originally the game was, we'll have a landing zone here and a landing zone there, but now we've got the planetary tech, and we've got the 3 moons. Is it 3 moons?
Yeah,
3 moons plus the asteroid in game.
Planetoid. It's called a planetoid.
Okay, fine. The bloody big asteroid, as far as I'm concerned. But they're huge areas, and you can fly around the whole surface, and you can land, and you can get out, and it's just great. And that really leads on to what's coming, the future landing zones. So we know from the roadmap we've got the and the moons and everything else coming, and they're going to have different biomes and everything else. And just the amount that we're getting in terms of that procedural tech just makes this game not only so much bigger, but also so much more diverse, and it changes it from being just an MMO to an absolutely, and a soul system to a absolute universe. Yeah, and for me, that's why that is number 1. And that, I think, is also the same or similar to Hayes's number 1. But I think there's a twist.
Similar. The thing is with Hurston and ArcCorp, it's not so much that it changes the nature of the way Star Citizen is going to be played, where it's going to be seen. Because at the moment we start, where do we always start? It's Port Olisar. And then we might visit like Grimhax, we might visit Levski, but that's the limitation. And do we stay there? No, that's just a hub. That's just a place we stop by. I wouldn't be surprised if they changed the starting zone and removed Port Olisar, or at least, made that no longer the starting location and actually stuck it down on one of the main planets. And that's going to change the scale, the scope, the way people see, suddenly starting on a base and you can go out and get in the vehicle straight away. Or the idea that there's going to be biomes immediately outside the window from when you wake up, from a cohab place where you're at. The integration of hangars immediately, instead of having landing pads and spawning ships, you go into your hangar and being able to get into that ship and just actually
fly out of the hangar.
And this is going to change the scale and the way people see it. Instead of people thinking this is sort of a tech demo, they can almost say, this is almost a game. This feels like an experience. There's a world out there, as opposed to when you start at Port Olisar, does that feel like a whole world out there? No, it seems like a tech demo, doesn't it? It feels like a tech demo. Yeah. This is going to change.
And yet, when you look at what we've got at the moment, just in Olisar, the Three Moons, and the planetoid, that's a huge play area, massive play area. And yet, when we get Hurston and ArcCorp, that's going to, like, that play area just in the solar system is going to be, and there's still Microtech to come to complete that solar system. So the solar system itself is going to be absolutely huge, and that's just a fraction.
Well, you're not even huge. Yeah, I don't know about you, but I'm sick and tired of arid moons with no atmosphere and no biomes, and like sure it's pretty and all the rest, but like
it'll be nice to see.
I want animals. I want. At the moment, they feel so small. I can visit most of the main locations within an hour in current Star Citizen. And in this place, it's going to be expansive enough that I don't know my own backyard until I've spent many days looking around the place. And the whole idea that there's another planet with a different biome with a huge amount of city, and you're like, you feel small
and atmosphere.
And the feeling we have in Star Citizen at the moment is a small and limited scale. And once you get in the Hurston and ArcCorp and its various moons and the stations around it, and suddenly it's going to start feeling massive and huge, because we've had moons, but are they anywhere near the size and scale of these planets with the diversity and the biomes and the fact that, like, I'm on Hurston at the moment, I'm on ArcCorp, you should come over here. There's nothing like that. You know?
Well, even then, it's going to be a big thing because it's going to take you 10 minutes to get between Crusader and Hurston.
It probably will, yeah.
Well, and even consider the atmosphere. Like, we've got the atmosphere on the small amount of atmosphere on the moons. The planets are going to actually have proper atmosphere. So those ships with aerodynamics are actually going to have that advantage, which they don't have.
And like,
ships that are like bricks are going to really struggle.
I can start operating like aircraft. I don't need my spacesuit on. Unless I go into space.
All right, so we'll wrap that up for today. If you like this video, leave a like. If you don't, leave a dislike. Also, in the comments, please leave your top 5 reasons that you think, or things that CIG are doing right. It's actually quite hard to...
It is. I will admit, I struggled to find five top things that we're doing right. But, go on, Hayes.
Well, the thing is, you know, they get top 5s. The things they're doing right greatly overshadow all the things I've gotten wrong in the last year.
That's right.
At the end of the day, it really, the things that it's so monumental and so big and so positive moving forward that, you know, even despite all the grievous errors, it's a very positive message.
Yeah, a lot of the things we picked, they're not just little things. They're actually, when you look at the scope of them, they're actually huge in terms of what the game is and where they're going.
Groundbreaking, even. All right, we're also on Discord, so if you see that in the description, you can jump on Discord and leave us a question, and we'll get back to you. We do read all the comments as well, and I am actually looking forward to seeing what other people think CIG are doing right. All right, this has been...
I'm Algarad.
And below...
we have Hayes.
And I've been Execute, and we'll see you next time.
Take care.